Somewhere around 11 p.m., someone opens their phone, not looking for anything specific, just the habit of it, the small automatic reach for the screen when the day has run out of tasks. 4 minutes later, they close it. They didn't go looking for a deadline. They leave with one anyway. Knowing something is curated doesn't stop it from landing. Knowing the timeline is invented doesn't stop it from feeling real. This is not a failure of intelligence. It's not a weakness you can think your way out of. It's architecture. There are two clocks running inside you. This essay is about both of them, where the first one came from, why knowing it's fake doesn't protect you, and what it actually takes to build the second one. That last part is harder than it sounds, and lonelier. But it's the only thing that works. Nobody handed you the timeline directly. There was no moment where someone sat you down and said, by 22 you should be here, by 25, here. No single person wrote the schedule, and yet you know exactly what it says. The philosopher Martin Heidegger had a name for the force that writes it. He called it das Man, the they. Not a specific person, not a conspiracy. Just the ambient accumulation of 1,000 small signals, each one unremarkable on its own, each one settling into something that feels like gravity. It works through repetition. Through the ordinary Tuesday morning, you open an app, not looking for anything, just the familiar scroll. Within 4 minutes, you've seen 2 job announcements, 1 promotion, 1 person your age who just launched something. You close it. You didn't go looking for a benchmark. You leave with one anyway. Nobody lied to you. Every post was probably true. Nobody forced your hand. And still, without choosing, without signing anything, without a single conscious decision, you absorbed a new measure of where you should be, a new line on a chart you didn't draw for a race you don't remember entering. That's the public clock. It doesn't arrive as a command. It arrives as atmosphere. And by the time you notice it, it's already been running for years, ticking against something in you that has nothing to do with anyone else's timeline at all. So you know the timeline is fake. You've said it out loud, probably more than once. You've heard the statistic that the person who made it at 22 is 1 in a million, that the feed is a highlight reel, that comparison is the thief of joy, that the algorithm rewards extremes and not averages. You have all the correct information. And at 11 p.m. with the screen closed, it still sits in your chest like a stone. This is the part that most self-help content skips. Because it's easier to assume that the problem is information, that if you just know the right things clearly enough, the feeling will follow. But the feeling doesn't follow. And the reason it doesn't is not a flaw in you. It's a feature of how the mind is actually built. There are 2 processing systems running in parallel inside you. The first is the one you're most familiar with, the one reading these words right now, the one that can evaluate a claim, fact-check a statistic, remind itself that success at 22 is an outlier. This system works in language, it works in logic, it's slow, deliberate, and it knows things. The second system is older, much older. It doesn't process language. It processes image, repetition, and pattern. It doesn't evaluate what it sees. It catalogs it. Every time you scroll past a milestone, an offer letter, a launch, a caption about hard work paying off, this system doesn't hear this is rare. It doesn't hear this is curated. It registers something simpler and far more durable. This is what exists. This is what people have. You don't have it. Repeat that enough times, and the second system starts to build a picture of normal. Not from what you've chosen to believe, but from what you've been repeatedly shown. Think of it like water moving through soil. The water doesn't ask the soil for permission. It doesn't negotiate. It finds the path of least resistance, and it moves. And over time, the path becomes a channel, and the channel starts to feel like the only way through. You didn't choose the channel. You didn't design it. But after enough exposure, The channel is there, and the water of your expectations follows it without you noticing. The first system, the rational one, can know that the channel was carved by someone else's water. It can identify this clearly. It can write an essay about it. It cannot, on its own, fill the channel back in. Here's what that means in practice. You can simultaneously hold two things that feel like they should cancel each other out. You can know with full clarity that the successful at 22 content is exceptional by definition, and still feel in the body that you're behind. You can understand that the feed is not reality, and still feel the gap between what you're seeing and where you are as something close to failure. Both of these are true at the same time, in the same person, in the same chest. This is not contradiction. This is not weakness. This is just what it looks like when two systems that run on completely different logic are handed the same input and asked to process it. The rational mind says, outlier. The deeper system says, not you. And for a long moment, maybe longer than a moment, you just sit with both of those things. You don't resolve them. You don't choose which one is right. You let them exist together, the way two weather systems exist in the same sky, neither one canceling the other out, both of them real, both of them yours. That's not a failure of self-knowledge. That's just the honest shape of it. Most people, when they feel this, reach for one of two exits. The first is suppression. Push the feeling down, remind yourself of the facts, try to logic your way back to calm. The second is surrender. Let the comparison run. Let the public clock set the pace. Let the gap feel like verdict. Neither one works. Not because they're wrong exactly, because they're both responses to the wrong question. The question isn't, how do I stop feeling this? The question is, whose clock am I actually running against? And did I ever choose it? You see a post. Someone you know, same year, same starting point, maybe the same major. They just landed something, an internship, an offer, a project that has a logo and a launch date, and people congratulating them in the comments. Your first response is immediate. Congratulate them, and then, quieter, faster, gone almost before you can name it, why not you? Both responses, same second, same person. Most people at this point spend considerable energy on the second response. Not examining it, erasing it, deciding it wasn't real, or that it means something unflattering about their character, or that a person with genuine confidence wouldn't have felt it at all. They perform the first response loudly, to themselves, and to the comment section, and they bury the second one somewhere it won't cause trouble. But the second response doesn't go away. It goes somewhere quieter. And the energy required to keep it there, to maintain the performance of pure goodwill, is quietly exhausting in a way that's hard to account for at the end of the day. Here is what's actually happening in that split second. You are not envious of them. Not really. You don't want their specific life, their specific path, the particular choices that got them to that post. What you're feeling is more precise than envy, and less personal. Your brain is using their milestone as a data point. It's measuring the distance between where they are on the public clock and where you are. And the gap it finds, that gap is what registers in the chest, not as judgment of them, as information about you. The second system at work again. It sees a peer confirm the timeline as real, someone your age, close enough to your world that the comparison is legible. And it updates its picture of normal. It doesn't care that you know the timeline is arbitrary. It cares that someone just made it more concrete. This is not a character flaw. It's not evidence of smallness or insecurity or a lack of genuine care for the people around you. It is a completely predictable output of a system that was built to orient itself through social comparison, a system that has been doing this since long before LinkedIn existed, since long before there was a feed to scroll, since the first time a human being looked sideways at someone else and wondered if they were measuring up. The problem isn't that you felt it. The problem is the story you tell yourself afterward, that you shouldn't have, that someone better wouldn't have, that the feeling itself is the verdict. It isn't. It's just the public clock doing what it was built to do, using every available mirror to tell you that it's real, that it's running, and that you're already behind. So, if the public clock was never yours, if it was written by accumulation, by repetition, by 1,000 posts you scrolled past without choosing, then what does the other clock look like? This is where most essays on comparison pivot to something reassuring. They tell you to find your own path, to stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10, to trust the process, to believe in your timing. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. Exactly. It's just incomplete, because it skips the part that's actually hard. Building your own clock is not a feeling. It's not a decision you make once and then carry forward into a life that suddenly makes sense. It is a slow, unglamorous, frequently lonely process of learning to read time by a different instrument, one that has no numbers on it, no external validation, no comment section to confirm that you're on track. The philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre wrote that freedom is not a gift, it is a weight. The existence of genuine choice, the possibility of building something truly your own, comes with the burden of having no one to blame when the path is unclear. The public clock, for all its damage, offers something real in exchange, a metric, a way to know at any given moment whether you're winning or losing. Take it away, and you have to sit with the much harder question of what winning even means to you. Not in the abstract, not in the language of inspiration, but specifically in the texture of an ordinary Tuesday. Most people never ask that question, not because they're incurious, but because the public clock is always there, always louder, always offering an easier answer. The hidden clock doesn't announce itself. It speaks in a different register, in the quality of attention you bring to something, in the rare feeling of moving at exactly the right speed, in the difference between a day that was productive and a day that was yours. It doesn't trend. It doesn't get screenshot. It doesn't accumulate likes. It's also the only clock that, at the end of things, will have measured anything worth measuring. Learning to read it takes time, more time than following the other one. And there will be nights, more than a few, where the public clock is loud and the hidden one is silent, and the silence feels like failure rather than depth. That's not a sign you're doing it wrong. That's just what it costs to build something that actually belongs to you. You don't have to throw the public clock away. You probably can't. It's in the atmosphere and you're still breathing. But you can learn to notice when you're running against it and pause long enough to ask whether that's the race you meant to enter. That pause is small. It doesn't look like much from the outside. It's where the second clock lives. Somewhere around 11 p.m., someone closes their phone. The day is done. The feed has been fed. Somewhere in the scroll, a peer confirmed the timeline was real and the chest registered the gap. And the rational mind reminded itself that it's all curated and neither one of those things canceled the other out. Both clocks are still running. But maybe, for the first time, they know which one they built and which one was handed to them without being asked. That's not peace exactly. It's something quieter than peace and more durable. It's just seeing clearly, seeing the two clocks for what they are, one borrowed, one yours. And understanding that you get to decide slowly, imperfectly, which one you live by. The question worth sitting with tonight isn't why am I behind? It's behind on whose timeline exactly? And when did I agree to run it?